All right, so welcome to another one for Al Cuerpo Boxing, which means to the body. So let's get with it. Let's talk some boxing. So previous uploads of mine that you'll see right now on the upload news from my channel, I talked a bit about Munguia's fallout, or my assumption his fallout with Oscar De La Hoya, because now Munguia has teamed up with the enemy of Oscar De La Hoya, who is so Canelo Alvarez, right? And of course, guys, Ryan Garcia, I didn't even mention Ryan Garcia in the previous video, but Ryan Garcia, if he's still Golden Boy Promotions, I don't even know if he's still part of Golden Boy, if he's still in the contract, but he too is now going back to Reynoso and with Team Alvarez. So he too is joining the enemy of Oscar De La Hoya. Okay, so we talked about that. In another video, I talked about the whole Jake Paul fallout. If you want to follow that, that's also easy work to talk about. And then I talked a bit about David Benavidez, in which other channels are now starting to pick up as well. But in this video, let's go ahead and talk about the highly anticipated fight of Terence Crawford versus Saul Canelo Alvarez. Or let me go back. Let me say it properly, right? Because Canelo is the guy with the 3 belts. Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Bud Crawford this September 2025. That'll be in Vegas. Hopefully, it'll still be in Vegas. Actually, hopefully not. Hopefully, it'll be in Saudi Arabia. But I think they both agree that Vegas is best, and probably most fans would agree it's good. It's a good fight for the American fans because it's easier for the American fans to go to. By the way, you guys focus on that, okay? Because I told other mates that I'm gonna go to at least one event in Saudi Arabia, but it's not really practical for the Westerner to go out there, so they don't want to take any risks. They want to make it a big event with a lot of people, a lot of proper attendance, and they're gonna do the right sales for that, and it has to be in Las Vegas, and that's great for both Crawford and Canelo, obviously. But guys, I guess let's talk about this whole 186 pound uh, uh, weight that Crawford had showed. Right, he showed a picture on the scale weighing at 186 pounds. Guys, that doesn't really mean anything. Who knows what? I mean, I'm not gonna say Crawford is probably wearing a lot of stuff. I don't even know where to go with this, guys. But let's just say that don't take a scale picture too seriously. Yeah, let's just say it like that, man. So, anyways, what does all this mean? Let me just say that the recent video in which Canelo and Munguia are doing like some nice defensive drill works, right? The Canelo is, throwing a jab, Munguia's catching, vice versa. They're throwing hooks, they're dodging. By the way, that's some badass training routines, stuff that I've done myself. But um, if you look at Canelo Alvarez's physique in that video, God, dude, the dude's got like some tree trunk legs. The dude looks like he's about. Honestly, guys, I want to say in that video he looks like about 200 pounds, man. To be honest, of course, guys, it's the off season. As Canelo starts to do more and more training, he's gonna get more toned up, less fat, less water, obviously. But guys, in that video, Canelo looks 200 pounds. All right, so that's what? That's 14 pounds more than this whole 186-pound picture that we see. And recently we've seen Terence Crawford in pictures and videos. Maybe not completely just like a headshot, but we can all agree, man, Terence Crawford in his whole life does not look filled out like a Canelo Alvarez did in this whole Munguia leaked footage. Okay, so I'll be honest, and I'm gonna say that's a big weight disparity, man. That's a big weight disparity. It means that some fans want want Crawford to not come in heavy, like literally. I seen some fans saying that Crawford should come in about 160 pounds. I think come September, and guys, man, the more you age, the harder it is to cut weight. Maybe that's a incorrect comparison because high profile fights between youngsters and high profile fights between guys, already in their mid 30s and above is different, of course. the basic facts of metabolism, how it's easier for youngsters to cut water, a lot easier than guys at higher weights. I'm not saying Canelo and Crawford have to really drain to make those weights up there. Obviously, not for Crawford at least, but I think honestly Crawford is going to bulk up in a lot of muscle for Canelo, and he should. He's going to need a lot more mass for just general resistance theory. Okay, he needs it. It's going to help him. I mean, Jermell Charlo when he fought Canelo Alvarez, that Jermell physique is bigger than a Terrence Crawford in all of his fights. Is bigger. He I wouldn't say so much that he rehydrated more because Jermell Charlo was fighting at 168 pounds, so really Jermell didn't have to cut a lot of weight really to make that. Okay, but anyways, the point is that Crawford is not bigger than a Jermell Charlo, even like walk around weight. So what does that say? If Crawford right now is showing a picture of 186 pounds, you can assume that let's say Jermell Charlo, the Charlo brothers, they easily walk around 190 plus, and most of us would agree. And of course, Canelo also walks around higher than that. Look, I know there's a lot of diehard Canelo fans that really say that Canelo walks around no more than 185 or 190. I think I might even said that myself, but I was always referring to the fight night weights, not so much off season. I think I'm more than sure I've said myself that in off-season weights for Canelo Alvarez, the dude is literally walking like 195 pounds or 200. I just know that from my own personal experience of hitting the gym literally almost every day, gaining weight, doing yo-yo weights, man. So you kind of know how it works. Um, I do a lot of sauna work, guys, and later in the future I'll disclose those details. But I know what it's like to cut literally 4 pounds of water within, let's say, 15 minutes of sauna work. Or let's just say while you're in the gym, grinding and doing sauna work, how easy it is to cut water. Okay? Of course, I'm not saying I'm doing it for the scales. That's a completely different context because I'm not in a camp to calibrate to lose that water for that said date. But I'm just giving you a general idea that I know the game very well when it comes to like literally cutting water in real time. My personal experience with that. But anyways, what I'm getting at is that um, guys, the Canelo that you're seeing right now against Munguia in those drills, that's a big ass Canelo, man. That dude is literally like 195, at least, at least. And of course, let's say if Canelo is grinding to make 168 for May, he's gonna shave off about 8 pounds of general fat and muscle from the video that you guys just saw. All right, so he's gonna deplete 7 or 8 pounds. It's not the water. 7 or 8 pounds of muscle, fat, and then he's gonna start to cut water during that fight week, and so he's gonna make 168. Okay, because I'll admit, I would say now in Canelo's post career, obviously he's a lot heavier than he was in years prior. Um, when I saw Canelo fight Kovalev, I think that was when I saw that fight. I was like, damn, Canelo's a big dude. He's a big boy. Even though he looks short, his stockiness kind of like gave him that resistance against a Kovalev. But that Canelo, even the Canelo that fought Rocky Fielding, his physique looked properly filled out to fight at those weights, and they were still cutting weight. Now, the thing with the Fielding weight thing, the guy, his brother was kidnapped, so I don't even know if they were focused. I honestly believe, this is my theory, that Fielding, they rechanged some details in the contracts just because possibly Canelo just wasn't in focus mode for that fight because Canelo was very angry in that week, and Canelo didn't even acknowledge he wasn't really happy, fighting Rocky Fielding more so because of the circumstances with his brother. Because I guess you could say it's maybe a shame or it's unfortunate that it happened to his family, that it happened to the uh, Alvarez family, and I think that was playing a lot with Canelo's head. But yeah, again, this is all theoreticals. But anyways, guys, back to Crawford. Crawford, man, guys, I keep saying, and I asked this question to a lot of fans. Do fans think that Crawford has surpassed the Sugar Ray Leonard? Or is Terrence Crawford, is his ring IQ better than a Sugar Ray Leonard? Of course, a prime Sugar Ray, or a in the time when Sugar Ray was a professional, right, fighting, whether it was prime or not. But just that experience, that ring IQ, is he better than a Sugar Ray Leonard? And what I'm getting at is two things. Well, one, obviously, Donnie Lalonde is no Canelo Alvarez, okay? Let me repeat that. Donnie Lalonde is no Canelo Alvarez. Two, as Sugar Ray Leonard went up in weight, regardless that Sugar Ray had injuries, with his hands or whatever. Hey man, injuries happen all the time in combat sports. I get injuries myself, be it the risks or whatever. It happens. All right. So I wouldn't say so much, oh, because Sugar Ray's injury. I mean, that's more like a Keith Thurman, but that's a different debate and topic. But yeah, it's normal, guys. Athletes, professionals, you get injuries all the time. It happens all the time for Olympians, right? So sorry for going off track here, but Sugar Ray Leonard, as he moved up in weight, again, Donnie Lalonde is no Canelo Alvarez. As Sugar Ray Leonard went up to 168 pounds, all right, the opportunity to get a new super middleweight title, right, it was introduced, and also he was able to fight for the light heavyweight title, in which a lot of guys said that Donnie Lalonde was drained, but whatever, he signed the dotted line, and who really knows? It could have been an excuse for them to say that as well. But again, Donnie Lalonde is no Canelo Alvarez, was no Canelo Alvarez, and Sugar Ray Leonard, as he fought at 168, guess what, guys? He was slower. He wasn't as fast as a Sugar Ray Leonard at 147 pounds, let alone 154 pounds. So, guys, as you naturally move up in weight, you get slower, and I mean, it depends on the variables of the fights. Maybe that extra added weight for Terrence Crawford. I don't want to generalize, but for Terrence Crawford, that might help Terrence Crawford's resistance. Terrence Crawford's a dog, man. He's a real fighter. That's what's great about Terrence Crawford. He's a natural born fighter, like a Canelo Alvarez. All right, but guys, if you look at the video that I uploaded about Crawford, even in great southpaw stance positioning, when he took shots against Mean Machine, or when he took shots against Madrimov, guys, he was taking those shots flush on the chin, not so much on the forehead or on the side of the ear, specifically shots on the chin. And I'll say it again, guys. Canelo Alvarez, or I should say, Madrimov is no Canelo Alvarez. Mean Machine is no Canelo Alvarez. These things matter, guys, because the technique, because you guys really don't know about the technique. I mean, you got to be a gym rat yourself hitting a bag, but the technique from a right hand from Canelo Alvarez is day and night when we compare it to a Madrimov and a Mean Machine. Excuse me, let me repeat that, guys. The right hand, or let's say any punch in general, technique wise, guys, technique. A lot of guys don't focus on what it's meant by technique. Guys just generalize and saying, oh, well, Canelo's at a higher weight class. Okay, but that can be said for a lot of guys at a higher weight class who are heavier. The technique makes a difference. That PCI force, comparing Madrimov, Mean Machine, and Canelo, that impact force on the technique, I would say Canelo has an advantage of 3 times more power than Madrimov's right cross by technique alone. It means the positioning, the placement, the spin of the shoulders. Guys, the technique. If Terrence Crawford takes a flush shot like that from a Canelo Alvarez, I think he's literally going to hit the floor, man. I would even say that's a knockout again. Maybe similar to the way Kirkland fell down, the same way Amir Khan got sparked out. Guys, look at the replay footage. In southpaw stance, in those particular instances, all right, Terrence Crawford doesn't have his guard protecting his chin, left or right. By the way, that's why I always give Miguel Cotto a lot of credit on his defensive wizardry in his post era, right? In his post fights. Because Cotto, man, in any position, Cotto knew when and where to raise the guard, how to catch shot. I mean, Cotto was a badass, man. Cotto was a badass. But the point is, Cotto knew in a lot of situations, you got to have your guard up. He probably learned that from when he got sparked up by a little Manny Pacquiao. Excuse me, at the lower weights, right? And so what I'm getting at is Terrence Crawford doesn't do that. In just a second, guys, those reflexes for being defensively aware, Crawford has to be very careful taking a shot against Canelo Alvarez. And more importantly, because it puts a lot of pressure on Terrence Crawford's career. It really puts a lot of pressure on his career because if he makes that type of mistake, fans might even say, well, Terrence Crawford was fighting these guys throughout his career. He wasn't ready for a guy like a Canelo Alvarez. Why is this important, guys? Because Sugar Ray Leonard, when he went up to fight some hard hitters, be it Hagler, if you want to include like Lund, Duran at a higher weights, rematches with Hearns at a higher weight, right? Sugar Ray Leonard was proven in that. That's why I asked the question, do you guys think that Sugar Ray Leonard's ring IQ is better than a Terrence Crawford? It's a lot of pressure on Terrence Crawford, guys. On the flip side of all that, though, aside from technique theory, the science of boxing, aside from that, I want to express again, and I was even guilty myself because for those of you that know me, I was skeptical about the whole Saudi Arabian sports washing, if really those funds were realistic or not. Guys, we've come to the conclusion that their unlimited funding is of no negative consequence to the Saudi Arabians, or let's just say Turkey al-Sheikh. Okay, so with that being said, I think Terrence Crawford should get a lot of credit for somewhat brokering the whole deal. Canelo's 4-fight deal is really the result of Terrence Crawford helping to push Turkey al-Sheikh's plan, his goal settings to acquire the Canelo Alvarez market. If it wasn't for Terrence Crawford, we wouldn't be here. All right? And right now, we see a lot of fans throwing slack at Terrence Crawford for that, saying Terrence Crawford's also a sellout. Oh, Terrence Crawford why is he doing Canelo a favor? Why is Crawford doing Turkey al-Sheikh a favor? Let me remind you guys that Terrence Crawford, amazing athlete, in my opinion, the Michael Jordan of this era. I would say Michael Jordan because, more so because of the age. Because I would even say like a Canelo Alvarez is kind of like a Michael Jordan. And what I mean by that is, Jordan, they lost some games, right? They lost some games. He's been there. When Michael Jordan retired, he came back as number 45. That season alone, Michael Jordan couldn't do much, right? So it's normal for guys to lose. But going back to Terrence Crawford and why I give him a lot of credit, Terrence Crawford, he even made the narratives that he wasn't being treated fairly over at Top Rank throughout the years, that he wasn't getting the best fights. Let's go back with the initial, maybe they were protecting Pacquiao from Terrence Crawford. Their team might have thought that, right? Because Terrence Crawford did want the Pacquiao fight. Had that happened years ago, maybe Terrence Crawford would have been in a different trajectory. Maybe Terrence Crawford would have already retired. Maybe Terrence Crawford would have already made bigger monies before Errol Spence had he landed the Manny Pacquiao fight, right? So for real diehard Crawford fans that know that side of the business, it might be some closure and maybe justice came for Terrence Crawford, that he's finally getting a payday that he's been longly been wanting, right? That he's been wanting for so long, longly. So maybe that's justice for Terrence Crawford. And we all know that fans want to cry about Canelo and Benavidez not happening for the last 3 years at most, guys. Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, that fight didn't happen for more than 4 years. Guys, Tank Davis versus Gervonta Davis versus Vasily Lomachenko. That's already 5 years past due, guys. So there's a lot of fights that didn't happen. I know fans like to cling on to just, you know, uh, Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez, but a lot of these aren't really fans. They have agendas. They're not really fans of David Benavidez because I've been saying I want this. If David is real about wanting Zurdo, I want that fight too because that's a nice fight about who's the better body puncher, man. Technique wise, I want to see how those two clash. Right now, I'm kind of slightly edging it for Zurdo. Zurdo is a little bigger overall. He's a little taller than David. They have the experience. Having seen the sparring, the ending of the sparring matches between the two, Benavidez is all gassed out, man, in those sparring sessions. So I don't know. Maybe David Benavidez doesn't really see Zurdo that much of a threat, but maybe, as fans like to theorize about, guys rather lose to. Maybe it could be said that Benavidez rather lose to a Zurdo than losing to a Beterbiev or a Bivo at 175. It's highly possible, right? They said the same thing about a Canelo, right? That he ducked Demetrius Andrade, even though they couldn't make undisputed because Canelo lost that IBF to Deverenchenko, right? But they said that Canelo ducked Demetrius Andrade to go fight Sergey Kovalev. There could be a similarity that Benavidez rather fight Zurdo Ramirez than to fight a Beterbiev. Could be so. But anyways, that's what I have on this one, guys. Just to recap that, let's quickly recap. I give a lot of respect. I think Terence Crawford, a lot of guys don't really give him a lot of credit. I don't see a lot of channels really pushing that theme. Who knows? Maybe we don't really need to focus on that stuff. But guys, yeah. Just think about that. I've already done like 3 uploads. I have all these mixed themes. I forgot even how I started this video. But, oh yeah, we were talking about the whole Crawford versus Canelo weight. Sorry, guys. So do I agree with the whole 186-pound thing? Yeah, perhaps. But I don't know. Maybe Crawford is bloated right now. Maybe he might be enjoying himself in the off season. You naturally gain weight. It's very easy to drink a lot of water in general, man. When you go, when I go to the gym, man, beforehand, I already drink like 1 liter of water to prep up for that. 1 liter of water, guys. And so, anyways, let's see how these months progress. Let's see. We get to see history in the making. We get to see Terence Crawford naturally bulk up to this 168-pound fight. So that's great for us boxing fans that know the game, that know the gym, that we are gym rats ourselves. We get to see how Snack is going to, optimize Terence Crawford to hit this weight. I want to see some new muscular physique from a Terence Crawford, and I want to see what Canelo Alvarez is going to look like in months too. But more or less, Canelo right now, this is Canelo weight, 168 pounds. Former undisputed. He's going to fight William Skoll in May to regain that IBF belt. That, originally he was already the mandatory, but that fight didn't fall through because the IBF wanted proof from Canelo and William Skoll that they had made an agreement to fight each other after the Berlanga fight. Okay? Team Canelo and William Skoll couldn't provide that documentation to the IBF. So the IBF thought that maybe the IBF were being exploited, being pushed to the side as they were selling Berlanga versus Canelo. All right. And rightfully so. Who cares? But we're back now into that same theme again. Canelo is going to, quote, do his mandatory, right? You could say he's doing his mandatory again. He's going to regain the belt, and then they could sell undisputed with Terence Crawford. And we already said this stuff prior. So easy work, man. It's always easy to pinpoint these things out. But anyways, shout outs to my guys, Boxeo Atomico and El Profesor del Boxeo. Go and check out their channels. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. The next one I want to talk about Beterbiev and Bivol. That's what we're like about a week and a half away. I'm so excited for that one. Less than a week and a half. Sorry. February 20th. It's now February 12th. Guys, 8 days away. It's money time. It's banging time. It's smash time. So I'll catch you guys on the next one for Al Cuerpo Boxing, which means to the body. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.